YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with a 2020 NFL mock draft because why not? 1 week of college football in the books. Got to see some of these players, some prospects, and then the NFL season's about to start. We'll have full coverage of both college football and the NFL during season. So this is probably the last mock draft for a while, so I thought why not? We got to see some of these prospects in action. Pretty cool to see some good fits here and what prospects we could be looking out for in the future. Right before we get started with this mock draft, we have some exclusive content more available. You actually can join our Discord group chat. Quite a few of you in there already. And yeah, constant NFL discussions, college football discussions, pretty cool. You can also join our NFL Pick'ems leagues, not too late for that. And you can get access to bonus videos and polls that our channel and future content deciding. So a lot you guys can possibly get access to. Patreon.com/thegoathouse is the link. You see it at the top, also on the top of the description. And we have a subscriber goal of 40K by the end of this year. Plenty of content and coverage here. So hopefully you can subscribe, join us, click the notifications on, click the like button, check out our Twitter. For the mock draft, I'm going to use this new NFL, or it's the Draft Network mock draft machine. Pretty cool. Once it's actual draft season, we'll go back to the Goat House graphics. Don't worry, but this is pretty cool machine here. And I may not agree with their board, but it's definitely helpful. So that's what we use. And I did not make this order, this draft order. The machine did it. So don't really pay attention to the order. Mainly we're going to talk about what players, where they can go, kind of what range, and mainly fits is what we're looking at for the teams. But the Dolphins first overall. I am going to give them, even though I don't think Tua is the best player in the draft. I mean, he could be. It's a long ways away. But I'm going to give them Tua. And they got their quarterback of the future, which I think they want. So they do need offensive line help, but they do have 2 first-rounders now. But we'll give the Dolphins Tua right off the bat. I think that's very realistic at this point. The Cardinals with pick 2, a lot of options here. A lot of very good options. And there's a lot of needs because, they need quite a few things here. There's a pass rusher sitting at the top here, Chase Young, and I would agree that he could be a top-tier player available. Chase Young could play a defensive end or an outside linebacker as a pass rusher for Ohio State. Definitely had my eye on him since really he was a freshman coming into Ohio State, a big recruit. So he could be an option here. Always can use more pass rush. It's one of the most important things in football. They do need offensive line, and we see Andrew Thomas could be the best offensive lineman at this point. You got Wirfs from Iowa as well. A couple offensive linemen that are solid in this draft. You can get some solid ones a little later. But what I'm thinking here is Kingsbury, you got to go the Kingsbury route here. For him to work out, he needs to get his type of players and somebody that will make this offense that much better to me and dynamic is a guy like Jeudy, and I think it's crazy to see a receiver at 2, but I think this is very possible, especially because the Kingsbury offense and what the Cardinals want to do, Kyler Murray, that pick makes a lot of sense there. Jeudy, can do everything. He can run downfield, he can run routes downfield, you can throw him the screen pass, he has crazy movement, quickness, vision downfield, crazy athleticism. I think he's a very safe pick. You don't really see a safe receiver pick anymore. I think it's a very safe pick because of his athleticism and his vision, and he has great hands too. Like the only way this guy's a bust is if he gets hurt. That's the only way, really. So then the Bengals are picking 3, and this is a tough situation too because you may say, what's their biggest need? It's probably offensive lineman. Their defense looks rough the last couple years, but they've been drafting pretty well. They could use Chase Young. They could use another edge rusher here. They do have Sam Hubbard. But you look at offensive line, it's been rough, but it is beat up. They have some young guys there. Jonah Williams going to come back next year. So I think they won't really focus too much on offensive line, actually. So I'm looking at possibly Chase Young, but then you got Justin Herbert sitting there. Is Dalton the future? I don't think so. Is Ryan Finley the future? He can be. But I don't know if they 100% believe that. They know they got a darn good backup there, but will he be the future? Just because he's a quarterback and I think he'll go up here, Justin Herbert is who I'm picking. It's a shame Oregon's coaching staff's kind of hiding him from the world right now. Terrible play calling, terrible decision making. They get up and they don't let Herbert throw downfield, so we don't get to see all of Herbert right now. The kid can play. So I think the Bengals get their their starting franchise quarterback there at pick 3 in this way too early time. The Bills at pick 4, I don't expect the Bills to have the 4th pick, but it's, in this situation, it's just tough not to give them one of the 2 pass rushers. I'm going to give them Chase Young. I think Chase Young is the top pass rusher in the draft as of now because of his versatility compared to Epinesa, who's very close, though. But I'll give him Chase Young, pair him with Jerry Hughes, and then they got a pretty good pass rush duo. And then Jerry Hughes ain't going to be around forever, too. So I think that is a big need there. They do need more help on offense. They could use a running back. Is Singletary going to get the full load for his career? I think they could get better there, but it's way too early to take a running back. The Lions at pick 5, I don't think they'll be picking this high, but let's say they did here, I guess, in this scenario. Who would they take? The offensive line's still a question. It was beat up last year. We still don't really know what we're going to get. And I see a guy like Andrew Thomas sitting here. And the Lions really don't have a bunch of huge needs. The question is Stafford the guy of the future? That's really the question. They filled out some needs on the defensive side. They have weapons on offense now. They just kind of need that offensive line to be set. So give them Andrew Thomas, the tackle from Georgia, can play left or right. The Redskins will be picking next. Same thing. They would love Andrew Thomas there. Quite a few good offensive linemen in this draft, though, and you can look down. There's some guys down here in terms of any position that I would put way higher. So I'm not 100% in agreement. So far, somewhat in the same area as their big board, so it's looking pretty good, but not 100% in agreement. We're going to give them Tristan Wirfs from Iowa. No Trent Williams. I don't know if he'll ever play it down for the Redskins again. It's a strange situation there. They need to get Haskins protected for the future, so we'll give them an offensive lineman. I don't expect the Titans to be picking at 7 at all, so this is a tough situation too. The Titans are another team. Like, what do they need? An interesting thing is quarterback. I'm a believer in Mariota. I think he's a pretty solid quarterback, but he's a free agent after this year. And let's say he gets hurt again this year, I think they're going to be done with him. Tannehill's also a free agent. So, but if Mariota stays healthy, no doubt, I think they'll sign him long term. It actually might be on the cheaper side too. I don't think he's going to demand an insane amount of money. So I can see Mariota back. I don't know if there's a quarterback worthy of this spot. I know a lot of people like Fromm. I'm not super high on Fromm. I don't think the Titans are picking here. The Titans need pass rush, but the question is, will Epinesa fit Vrabel's defense? I think Epinesa is more of a 4-3 end, and that doesn't really fit the Titans defense. But Vrabel's a guy that they brought Cameron Wake in there too, similar style, just younger. Actually, we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go Epinesa here for the Titans. Vrabel can make him more versatile than he is. He can get creative too. It doesn't actually have to stick at a 3-4. That defense gets pretty creative, so that'd be a good pickup there. The Buccaneers would be next, and to me, right off the bat, I guess they have some question marks with Winston. Is he the quarterback of the future? But as of now, it looks so. To me, I think they did a good job drafting the corners last year. They just need some safeties, and you got a top-tier safety. I think better. What pick is this? The 8th pick, better than the 8th overall player in the draft, better than 7, which TDN has them. So I think get Grant Delpit, that secondary for the future, is looking pretty good. The Jets are next, another team that looks set for the future. Darnold's a guy you got to keep trying. He's a kind of a raw quarterback. I think he could still struggle now, but I think he's got tons of potential. So it's a guy you definitely can't give up on. Definitely the quarterback of the future if you keep pushing and developing him. You got your running back, Le'Veon Bell. They could get better at receiver. If Jeudy is available here, it's definitely a possibility. Do you take a guy like CeeDee Lamb, or it's tough. That's a tough call there. They could use a corner, a guy like Bryce Hall. They're pretty much set everywhere. I think their defense could be top tier if they had pass rush, and they don't have an actual pass rushers. They do on the defensive line, but actual pass rushers. So I'm looking here. Not the strongest pass rush group. There's not as many as last year. But a guy I do really like, it may look a little early here, but they need pass rush. I really like Julian Okwara from Notre Dame. We didn't get to see a whole bunch of them yesterday, actually, against Louisville. Louisville was kind of running a lot of options there. So I think Okwara is going to get a whole bunch of sacks and pressures this year like he did last year. He got tons of pressure last year. I think he's going to be a fine NFL player. I think he'll be better in the NFL. So I think he fits that Jets defense too. So that's that pass rusher they need. I guess similar style play of Ja'Kai Polite, just better. A better version of Ja'Kai Polite, who they like Ja'Kai Polite's talent. They just didn't like his attitude. So I think that pick makes sense in terms of fit. Maybe it does look a little early, but you can't really pay attention to the order exactly here. The Giants are next. Giants did a good job drafting for the most part. Defensive line looks set for the future. They definitely could use a linebacker. I think it's a little early for possibly the best linebacker available in Dylan Moses. He should be recovered from his torn ACL by this time, and he'll be drafted somewhat high, but this might be a little early for a guy just tore his ACL possibly. It is really early, though. They could go that route. They need a receiver desperately. I think they did a good job with the secondary for the future. Maybe even if it's not good right away. They need a receiver. Is it too early to take CeeDee Lamb? I mean, I don't think so. I think this receiver group, there's quite a few receivers you can argue in this position. CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs, Laviska Shenault. Yeah, there's a long list of receivers that are pretty darn good here. I'm going to give them CeeDee Lamb. They need that receiver to help that quarterback, of the future in Daniel Jones. So we'll give them CeeDee Lamb. And the Broncos are next. It's another tough one, too. Quite a few good players available. Man, this is tough because the reason this is tough is because they got a really good defense. I think it's going to be real good this year. The offense needs some more firepower, but where do you get this that really helps you? There's some really good running backs that can help you in that situation, but I like their running backs. Phillip Lindsay's their guy, and Royce Freeman's a good backup. Do you grab a receiver? The receiver unit looks pretty good. Maybe Emmanuel Sanders could be on his way out, but is there a receiver worth the 11th pick? I guess it's pretty close. I don't know I guess if I had to point something out on defense, they don't really have a true, number one outside corner. Chris Harris can be that guy. His best plays come from the slot. So they could use a physical outside corner. And when I say physical outside corner, I just think of Bryce Hall, who's my number one cornerback in this class. Not theirs right now, but so I really like that pick. That pick makes a lot of sense. Derek Brown, I think, could be an elite talent. They could go. They got a good rotation on the D-line, so it's not a huge need, but they do get better with Derek Brown. But I really like the fit with Hall. It feels good for me right now. So I'm going to go with Bryce Hall. The Raiders are next. And another team, I think they're pretty much set for the offense for the future. As long as Derek Carr holds up, they got Josh Jacobs. The offensive line got better in the offseason. A guy like Colton Miller was raw. Wasn't too good his rookie year, but he's going to continue to get better. It's another guy you kind of stick it out with. They have their receivers. It's just the defensive side. Defensive side of the ball. They got a couple. It's the same situation as the Broncos, actually. A couple corners that could play. They kind of need an outside corner that could be physical with some length. And I like Paulson Adebo, actually, from Stanford. That's a guy that's growing on me. He's got some length, long arms. He can be physical, too, and he makes a really good break on the ball. I like that pick for the Raiders. It's a good pairing with Conley on the outside. They're not really the same, and that's what I like, So I like that pairing. Two corners back-to-back. Pretty good corner class, it looks like. The Jags will be next here. Oh my God, this is a no-brainer here. Derek Brown, this is the no-brainer. Derek Brown's better than the 15th overall player where they got him. He can play nose. He can play any D tackle spot. He really can. He can play any D tackle spot. I think he can play almost 3-4 end if you want him to too. The Jags are lacking pass rush from the interior, from the inside, defensive tackle. Derek Brown, perfect fit, perfect pick right here. That makes a lot of sense. The Panthers are next. Tough one here. Another team that can use a receiver. They can use offensive line. Is there one worthy of this pick? Oh, man, this is a tough one. There's a guy I really like for them that I don't see right now. Yeah. They could use another pass rusher, but they use one on Brian Burns, and he'll be better at this point. They could use pass rush. They're lacking in the secondary to me. Secondary is the biggest weakness. They drafted Greg Little last year, so the offensive line should actually pick it up as it goes on. I think they're really lacking at safety, and a guy I really like is Xavier McKinney from Alabama, and I like the fit too. I'm Maybe that looks a little early based off their board, but I don't think so. I really like McKinney. We're gonna give the Panthers. They could go another corner too. I'm gonna give them McKinney. Sometimes I got a feeling about these fits. The Niners are next, and the Niners, I think, a pretty balanced team. Oh, you know who I really like? Some of these are just clicking for me. I really, really like Travis Etienne for the Niners. Shanahan's offense. This is a better version of Tevin Coleman here that can do more than Tevin Coleman and catch the ball out of the backfield. Shanahan's kind of got a group of running backs to kind of fit his style, and I think Etienne can fit it, by himself. To me. Jonathan Taylor's another guy that can too. Jonathan Taylor, I wanted him to prove to me that he's fixed his fumbling problem. Very good opener against South Florida. I wanted him to prove to me he can fix his fumbling, because there's a lot of teams that will not take a running back in the first round, and if you're fumbling, they for sure won't take you. But he's fast. He can catch the ball. He can run. He's got vision. But Etienne, you don't see a running back like this. DeAndre Swift may be a little harder runner in between the tackles. I actually like Etienne on the outside a little more, catching the ball. But it could go either way. I just like the fit here. The Niners taking Etienne. Man, oh man, that offense could be set then. Some of these fits they're clicking better, and it's a way too early stage, and they're clicking better than they did last year almost. So we'll see. And now we got the Ravens on the clock. Ravens, a very complete team. They actually they were lacking at receiver. They did a great job drafting receivers. Man, they have the best secondary in football. They're set there. Even though they lost C.J. Mosley, they got a couple of linebackers stepping up. They're just fine. They need a pass rusher. They have a depth pass rushers. They need a top-tier pass rusher that fits. He has to fit that 3-4, though. That's the thing. Look at the edge here. There's a guy I have in mind that I am not seeing. Okay, I see him. They have Anthony Jennings at 61. See, I disagree with that. He's specifically a 3-4 pass rusher that can actually drop back, and he's a pass deflection machine. He's got very long arms. A physical guy, too. I am surprised they have him at 61. I love this fit. This is a good fit. It's a perfect Baltimore Ravens pass rusher. Maybe they can get him a little later in this, but this is one that just stands out to me. I'm going to give him Anthony Jennings. And we got the Dolphins now. The Dolphins, we had getting Tua, so now they're sitting in that position where they could get they're going to have to get the Laramie Tunsil replacement. I already have a guy in mind right now. We're going to have to go to the offensive tackle, and I'm not okay, got to go down a little bit. Walker Little's at 71. And I do like, I don't agree with their rankings here. I do like Trey Adams. I do like Eichenberg from Notre Dame. I don't agree with what they have here. There's a couple more things we'll get to probably later that I don't agree with. I'm going to give him Walker Little. Trey Smith actually was a former number 1 recruit. He's had some weird health issues. He's supposed to be good to go now, but I think he can, talent-wise, this would be the pick right here, but he's going to drop big time, unfortunately, when it comes to draft time. Walker Little, we're going to give the Dolphins, so they have their Tunsil replacement there. So they got their quarterback and their left tackle. The Falcons are next. The Falcons, oh my God. So many of these are just jumping out to me. I'm doing this like right now. This was not pre-planned or anything. I'm just DeAndre Swift, keep him in the state. Keep him in the state. Freeman, can he stay healthy? Is he the guy of the future? They don't have Coleman anymore. That offense could be very high-powered if they had that legit running back that can do everything. Give him Swift. Oh, man, I'm feeling good about that one. The Seahawks would be next. Do I have one that's clicking for the Seahawks? I don't. I don't have one right off the bat that's clicking for the Seahawks. Very balanced team. They're actually pretty beat up at receiver right now. They waited to take Metcalf. Could they take a receiver right away? I like their secondary. They don't have a big-time player in the secondary, but they're pretty balanced. Linebacker core is looking good. They could go Dylan Moses. Trying to think here. The pass rush looks to be set. Defensive tackles are pretty good. I'm thinking receiver. I think they need a receiver here. They wouldn't go Chenault. That's a little too much like DK Metcalf. The speedster Ruggs, I think, makes a lot of sense here. A couple of the other speedsters, too. You look at the receivers. Jalen Reagor can absolutely fly. T. Higgins as well. Tylan Wallace is who I was thinking of. Oklahoma State, good route runner. He can fly as well. I'm thinking Henry Ruggs is a Seahawks-type receiver for him. Another Tyler Lockett, perhaps. I think a little they got a profile on him. He's listed at 6 foot. He can fly. A lot of these guys can fly. Could be T. Higgins. I was deciding between Ruggs and T. Higgins. We're going to give him Ruggs. Another one of those guys, Lockett, Ruggs, and then DK on the outside. That's looking good. The Vikings are next. The Vikings, do they still need offensive line? That's the question. They're building it up a little bit, switching schemes. They could, who I actually really like for them. For more, this is where I think they're wrong here. Tommy Kramer, to me, is a plug-and-play guard. I think this guy can be a Pro Bowl guard. I think he's a first-round lock. They got him at 123. The Vikings could go him. But I got an interesting take here. So, Kirk Cousins, at this point, say fast forward to we're in the draft right now. Kirk Cousins only has one more year on his contract. Whether he's good or not, he played very well this year. I don't know if they can sign him long term, and maybe he didn't play good. Maybe they don't want to sign him long term. There is a quarterback that I think is a Viking, like he fits what the Vikings like. And that is going to be Jake Fromm. Do I give them Jake Fromm? Some people think he can go earlier. I don't know if I got to see more from Jake Fromm. I got to see more. If I'm the Vikings, I'd probably go Kramer, but I actually can, when are the Vikings going to have a chance to get their future quarterback and have him learn from a guy like Kirk Cousins? They're probably going to be picking around here again because Kirk Cousins got another year, and, they're not going to be, the Vikings aren't, even if they don't live up to our expectations, it's not going to be terrible. So, and then the next year after, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence at the top. Is there going to be that much after? I don't know if they'll have. We're going to give him Fromm. I get a little creative here. I think that's a Vikings type quarterback. I think it's a quarterback they like. They would like that fits. They would take a guy like Fromm or Herbert over Tua, in my opinion. That's just them. So I don't know if they can pass on that opportunity. Maybe he won't be there depending on how he plays this year, but. He's not the elite prospect, I don't think, and he can be, but to me, he's just not. Next up is the Cowboys. To me, they're a complete team. They could use a safety. To me, Isaiah Simmons, is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? He's a hell of an athlete, hell of a player. He's kind of more of the box guy. The Cowboys don't need another one of those. Isaiah Simmons, he could be a true safety back there. He's very lengthy. They just don't need another one of those. Maybe they can't lock up Dak. They locked up La'el Collins, and now earlier today actually, and they're going to work on Zeke. Maybe they can't get Dak, so maybe they can go with a guy like Jordan Love. Pretty interesting. I don't think that happens though. Offensive line seems pretty set. Like I said, they're signing guys. To me, safety, yeah, but what's more important here? Pass rush. I think, they could use more. It's pretty much DeMarcus Lawrence only. They have some depth guys. Taco Charlton hasn't lived up to the hype yet. I guess he can. So I do like Alton Robinson here. They could go with the defensive lineman as well. Raekwon Davis is a weird one. He's a weird prospect. I'm going to go Alton Robinson. The Syracuse pass rusher's tape last year was just fantastic. So we're going to go Alton Robinson. I think that's a Cowboys defensive end right there. Raekwon Davis, a year based off last year's play. Well, no, we'll start 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I loved him. Like, this guy's the next elite prospect defensive lineman when he was able to come out. And then last year, he played bad to me, in my opinion. Like, he played, I was stunned, glad he didn't come out because he would not have been a first rounder, may not have been a second rounder either. I don't know what happened, so hopefully he figures it out this year. It's a little earlier than I feel confident about right now, but he definitely will get better this year. The Steelers are next. Could it be Big Ben's future replacement, Jordan Love? I don't know if Jordan Love's a first rounder. The idea of him looks pretty good, but a little more consistent. Hasn't played the best competition, I guess. The Steelers, to me, have a really good defense because they're front seven. I think they're lacking in the secondary. I know they signed Hayden through this next year, but Fulton's still there. They have him 8th overall. I think it's a little high, just a little bit. But him being there still, then they definitely pull the trigger on Fulton there. Pretty easy pick. The Browns would be next. They need, to me, pretty complete team. They need offensive linemen of the future. So I think offensive tackle really is what I'm getting at. I think they're pretty set at guard. Offensive tackle here. I like Trey Adams. If people liked McGarry enough for a first-round pick, well, the Falcons at least, they're really going to like Trey Adams. Trey Adams is a pretty darn good tackle here. I think he's a first-rounder as long as he's healthy. So we're gonna give the Browns Adams. That could be their left tackle of the future. The Chargers are next. I think they need linemen too. They definitely need linemen. Could they tackle or guard more? We're going to give – I really like they have him at tackle. So he can play tackle or guard. I like him at guard in the NFL. I think he can be a Pro Bowl guard. Tommy Kramer is a guy that really stands out for Notre Dame. We're going to give him to the Chargers. That pick, I like that pick a lot there. The Raiders would be next. Now, I already know where I'm going with this one. Already know right off the bat. We have the Raiders going corner, so they're beefing up that defense. Dylan Moses he's worthy of a better pick than this. He did tear his ACL. He should be good to go. They have a little situation at linebacker. They get Dylan Moses in there. There you go. Plug and play guy as long as he's healthy. And the Eagles are next. Tough. Yes, they need a safety. I saw it says team needs. They need a safety. Could they go with Isaiah Simmons? They also could, that's a funny thing there because they could also use a linebacker. To me, their linebacker unit's a little on the weaker side. So Isaiah Simmons, experience at both. He can play in the box. I like that pick for them a lot. Isaiah Simmons from Clemson, freaky guy, plays all over the place, flies to the ball. That pick makes sense there for the Eagles as well. The Packers are next. Can they finally get right? They got the defense sets. The defense, there's a lot of new faces on that defense. It's gonna be good for the future. For young guys too. Can they get Rodgers some more weapons? Who? They got to get Laviska Shenault. They got to get him here. Come on, Devontae Adams and Shenault. They have to do that. Come on now. Needs more weapons. Colts would be next. Colts, pretty balanced team. They could use some help on they extended Brissett. They got to give Brissett more than just this year for a chance to. I know he played a couple years ago, but they got to keep developing him and keep going. So they got to give him more of a chance. If it doesn't work out and you're on the clock with Trevor Lawrence possibly a year after this or Justin Fields, okay, there you go. But not this year. Don't go quarterback this year. Trying to think what would fit. Set an offensive line. They would not take a receiver up here. They took, I'd say they could use a corner, but they took Rocket Sin last year. I like that pick. Could use another safety. There's definitely, I don't know if there's one. Maybe there's a couple. I don't know if they pair well with Malik Hooker, though. Shaheem Carter, I like. Gilman's more of I think he's better in the box. Where's the Texas? Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones I like, too. I don't know if they're worthy of that pick quite yet. They could use another edge rusher, Justin Houston, they got to make them better because they're not going to be around forever. These guys are kind of borderline, though. I think the best one available has got to be Gross Matos from Penn State. Pretty productive year last year. I think got to be a Colts guy. I think he fits on their defense. But at this point, yeah, you can see the lack of pass rushers. There's still some good ones, but lack of end of the first round pass rushers. Weaver's pretty solid. Khalid Kareem's pretty solid. There's not Garvin's not bad. Nick Coe. There's not a whole bunch of pass rushers, though. The Saints would be next. I think their future quarterback could be, whether it's Hill or Bridgewater, could be on their roster, so they may not need to go there. What I think, people may not agree, but I think they got a hole at receiver. They got one of the best in Michael Thomas. Ted Ginn, not the same as he used to be. He's not going to be around forever. Traquan Smith, you could get better for your number 2 receiver. And T. Higgins is still here. That's your future Ted Ginn right there. You got to go T. Higgins. I like that pick a lot too. And then the Rams are next. The Rams, to me, offensive line. They need need a legit first rounder here. Whitworth could be gone too, so they need a tackle. Nyang from TCU. I'm not sold on the Auburn kid. Leatherwood from Bama. Like I said, Trey Smith's first-round talent. Just he's going to drop. Eichenberg's pretty damn good. The Notre Dame offensive line's something else, let me tell you. We're going to give him the TCU offensive tackle, Lucas Nyang. I think he could be their left tackle of the future. And I think they need offensive line. I really do. I think they need offensive line. So we got the Patriots next, and I already know where I'm going here. I thought it was too early a little bit ago, so I feel a little more comfortable going Raekwon Davis here. The Patriots are really lacking interior defensive line. That's the route they go there. And then the last pick, they have the Chiefs here, and they need corner. They have a huge hole at corner, and I already know off the bat there's a few of them I like left. Yeah, there's some guys that actually, multiple guys that can go in the first round, even though I only have one first-round pick left. C.J. Henderson from Florida. The Florida corners really haven't been working out. Diggs is more of an athlete. I don't think he's a first-round corner. A.J. Terrell from Clemson. He's a technician. He's got the technique down. Jalen Johnson from Utah is a playmaker. Cameron Dantzler is a very lengthy corner that is pretty freaky athletic, I think, too. There are some good corners here. I like Dancer for the Chiefs, but I think the best available corner, even though the Florida corners haven't been working out, is C.J. Henderson. Yeah, quick corner. Can be physical at times, too. Very good tagging the ball. I like that for the Chiefs. So there we go. There's the draft. I don't think this will be the order, but I felt really good about this one, even though I'm not saying these are going to happen, obviously, because it's not the order, but I felt good about the fits. The Vikings is a good fit, but that's an absolute wild card. They can definitely go Tommy Kramer. I did like Tommy Kramer for them, but that's if their situation doesn't work out with their new offensive line. Basically, a lot of new starters there. So a lot of good fits here. It's an offensive draft. It's an offensive draft, and that's good to see. It's always been defense. You hate to see a lack of pass rush. You got 2 top-tier guys at the top. Good corners, some good safeties, but offense. You got quarterbacks, you got offensive linemen, you got receiver, the running backs. I didn't have Jonathan Taylor go. I think he's capable of being a first-round running back, but got to prove to me he can hang on to the ball. Etienne, I love me some Etienne. And then the Falcons end up with DeAndre Swift. That looks pretty good there. So yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on that. Really enjoyed doing that, but we have plenty to get to for the in-season college football and NFL. We got plenty of content, so we're going to be busy covering all that. We have extra content on the Patreon, so click that link in the description. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Appreciate the support. Goodbye.